Bienvenido a mi diario de Inglés Británico, un podcast para hispanohablantes que quieren entender inglés británico con confianza y progresar profesionalmente en el Reino Unido. Soy Shandon, coach nativo de inglés británico. Y sí, también hablo español. En cada episodio hablo en inglés británico real y conversacional, para que practiques tu comprensión auditiva y te acostumbres a cómo hablamos los nativos en la vida diaria. En este episodio voy a presentarme en inglés y hablaré de mi familia y mis hobbies, para que aprendas a hablar mejor sobre ti mismo. Te recomiendo que escuches este episodio más de una vez. No te preocupes si no entiendes todo. Cada vez que escuches, vas a entender más. Vale, empecemos.
Okay, so since this is the first episode of this new podcast, I thought I'd use the time to introduce myself so that you can get to know me a bit better and hear how I introduce myself in English, which will hopefully help you to introduce yourself when you're speaking in English. So I'll talk about a few different aspects of my life, me, including my family, some other things about me as well, and things that I like doing in my free time. Okay, so let's start with the basics. So my name is Shandon. My full name is Shandon Evan Williams, and I'm 28 years old, and I'm from London. I was born in London, and I've lived in London pretty much my whole life. At the moment, I live with my mum and my two younger brothers. I'll speak a bit more about them in a second. But yeah, I live in central London and I've always lived here. I have an older sister who is 32 years old. She also lives in London, but she lives in southwest London, so not in the same part that I do, because I live in central London. And then my two younger brothers are 16 years old and 12 years old as well. So there's four of us in total. And then my mum is 47 years old now. And so I live with her at the moment. One big thing I want to mention is that I don't have any Spanish speaking family. Many people think that because I speak Spanish, someone or my grandparents, for example, or my parents are Hispanic, or lots of people in my family speak Spanish. But this isn't true. Nobody else in my family speaks Spanish. Not my mum, not my siblings, not my grandparents, not my great-grandparents. Nobody else in my family speaks Spanish. It's just me. Why do I speak Spanish? Well, I started learning Spanish 15 years ago in school. So when I was in secondary school, I started learning Spanish. I fell in love with it straight away, learned all the way through school, and also studied Spanish at university. And as part of my course at university, I went to live in 3 different Spanish-speaking countries. First of all, I spent 4 months in Barcelona, in Spain. Then I spent 3 months in Bogota, in Colombia. And finally, I spent 2 months in Lima, in Peru, which was an amazing year. After I finished university, I also started teaching Spanish. So I have lots of experience with Spanish through learning and living in Spanish-speaking countries. So that's a bit of an explanation of why I speak Spanish and why I now help Spanish speakers to speak English with confidence, which is what I do through this company, Éxito English. So of course, this is my current job. I am an English teacher, British English teacher, and I help native Spanish speakers to speak English with confidence so that they can get better opportunities in the UK and thrive here in the UK. So better job opportunities, or if they have their own company, to be able to grow that company and take it a lot further. that's what I do for work now. Let me talk a bit about what I like doing in my free time then. So, first of all, I love reading. Reading's one of the things I love doing most. I try to read every night before going to bed. I don't always manage to, but I always try to for at least 15 minutes every night. And on weekends, sometimes I read for longer. On some weekends, I'll spend 2 hours reading non-stop, which I love doing from time to time. In terms of the types of books I like reading, I love non-fiction books, particularly personal development books. So books that help me to improve my mindset, mi mentalidad, or to help me improve my health and well-being, and things like that. I also like books about money and finances, and books about business as well. Since I'm growing my own business, this business, Éxito English, those are very important for me to read. I also enjoy reading books about philosophy from time to time, such as books about Stoicism, el estoicismo, things like that. The second thing that I love doing in my free time is traveling. Traveling is probably my favorite thing to do. I love going to different countries and experiencing different cultures, trying different foods, meeting people from different countries, and just experiencing completely different things than what I experience here in London. It's an amazing experience traveling. I always have loved doing it, and so far in my life I've visited 20 different countries. I hope to return to lots of those countries and also to go and visit many more countries throughout my life. My favourite country that I visited was Mexico, followed by Peru, and then followed by Colombia. Those are my favourite 3 countries that I've been to. I like travelling with friends and family, but I also love travelling alone, or solo travelling, as it's also called. The third thing I love doing in my free time is going out to eat. What do I mean by that? So going to restaurants in London and trying different food. I don't like always going to the same restaurants. I like to go to different restaurants that I've not been to before and try different food, drinks, and have different experiences. Of course, it's better to be able to go to the country and try the food there, but I also like trying the food from different countries here in London. The fourth thing that I like doing in my free time is going to the cinema. So I love going to the cinema to watch films, and I always prefer going to the cinema to watching films at home on Netflix, for example. I love the cinema. And finally, the fifth thing that I like doing is playing board games, juegos de mesa. I love board games. I love playing board games with family and friends as well. Board games like Monopoly, for example, or Articulate is another one that I love, and lots of other games as well, even Scrabble. I like playing Scrabble from time to time with my brothers. So that's been a bit of an intro to me, an introduction to me, Shandon Williams, so that you know a bit about me, my life, where I live, where I'm from, and what I like doing. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope that it was useful for improving your English listening and understanding. So thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.
Gracias por escuchar este episodio de mi diario de Inglés Británico. Ya has dedicado tiempo a tu aprendizaje hoy, y eso suma más de lo que crees. Poco a poco, tu inglés va a mejorar. Si vives en el Reino Unido y sientes que tu inglés te está frenando profesionalmente, te invito a hacer una evaluación de fluidez profesional gratuita conmigo. En esta sesión, analizo cómo hablas inglés hoy, identifico exactamente qué te está bloqueando y te explico qué necesitas trabajar para hablar con más claridad y confianza. No es una clase, es un diagnóstico claro y honesto de tu inglés hablado. Escríbeme por mensaje en Instagram para reservar tu evaluación. Dejo el enlace a mi cuenta en la descripción del episodio. Gracias y nos vemos pronto. Bye.